I have created 3 tutorials to teach you how to find sources to answer your research question. In this first tutorial, I'll show you how to use the Ithaca College Library website. In the second tutorial, I'll show you how to use Google Scholar. And in the last video, I'll show you how to use Wikipedia responsibly. After you've watched all 3 videos, you'll go to Sakai Tests and Quizzes to take a quiz on what you have learned. Let's start with the homepage of our library website, which you can Google. In the search box, you can take your research question that you asked on your VoiceThread a few weeks ago about your article from the Rhetorical Review and type the main words from your question. For instance, I had selected that one article about snowplow parents, remember? My follow-up question was, do snowplow parents create anxiety problems for kids? I can type snowplow parents and anxiety and kids. I get 264 results. Now, if I didn't get anything, I would need to play around with the words, find synonyms, or just use 2 words instead of 3, like snowplow parents and kids. Snowplow parents are also called lawnmower parents, so I may have better luck with that term. Every topic is different, so some terms and topics are easier to research than others. If you run into any problems, let me know ASAP so I can give you some feedback on your keywords. 264 results are still quite a bit to search through. I can limit my search to articles. So over here on the right side, I can click on articles. The reason why I want to focus on the genre articles that it tends to be more analytical and reflective, which is what I'm looking for. You can also search through books if you would like. Simply read the introduction and the one chapter that you might need. Dissertations are much longer, so I would caution against reading those, but those can be helpful if you read the introduction. But they are written by PhD students, so the credibility is a little lower. And there are newspaper articles as well, but they're only useful if you're exploring a current events issue or an issue relevant to a particular community. For instance, maybe I want to research the number of cases of IC students struggling with overbearing parents by looking through the Ithacan. For the most part, stick to peer-reviewed articles. So I'm going to click right here, peer-review, to narrow this even further. And what that means is that an editor or team of editors fact-checked the article, so it's likely to be more credible and noteworthy. At this point, I have 10 results, which are manageable, but I can also reduce this further by year because snowplow parents is a fairly new concept. So basically came around 10 years ago. So I can reduce this to actually 2010 and click refine. And now I have 8 results, which is definitely way more manageable in comparison to 264. The goal is to try to bring that number down to 100 or less and use these filters on the right-hand side to help narrow that search. If you are working with a topic that is relative to the computer science, technology, or the medical field, then you'll want to find something that was published in the last 5 years or so. Anything that was published 10 or 20 years ago would be outdated. Okay, so I find this one article, The Ramifications of Helicopter Parenting. It's not snowplow parenting, but these terms are similar, so I want to see if this article is helpful. According to the library website, the library does hold this article available online. I scroll down in order to access the full text. So here I click on Nexus Uni. I arrive to this page, but the article isn't actually here. So I come back to this particular page. I'm going to copy the actual title. For some reason, it didn't pull up the actual article. So I'm going to paste it into that text box. And now I have the article. So this is important because at times the database will right away retrieve that article for you, but at times you may have to actually copy and paste the title into the search box of that particular database, and every database differs. And so I've arrived to the article and I have options here to download it. Okay, so with each article you find, you definitely want to download it. So you'll want to look for a download button or look for a PDF button. Before you proceed to download an article, you want to first see where it was published. So the journal title is usually going to be right below the actual article title. So in this case, it was published in the Law Reviews and Journals. Now, a law review means that a lawyer or judge, more than likely, or a paralegal, wrote this article. And so then I have to think, okay, what do lawyers and paralegals and judges value? What do they focus on? And so I'm guessing this has to do with the legal ramifications of parenting in higher education, especially now that students are adults and educators cannot violate FERPA and release private information to parents. Okay. Also, I'm looking at when this thing was published, 2013. This is somewhat of a yellow or red flag, but because snowplow parenting is a relatively new concept. This was published 7 years ago, but I could perhaps find something on snowplow parenting in the last 10 years. But the fact this was published in a law review right away indicates to me that this will not be relevant. This is not the conversation I'm looking for. I'm looking for information about anxiety in students. And so who are the experts to study anxiety? That would be psychologists. So I want to look for journals where psychologists publish. I also look for journals in which the actual journalists are citing those psychologists. Okay, so that would include things like the New Yorker, the Atlantic, Harper's Magazine, for instance. So either journals by the actual psychologists themselves or the journals in which the journalists, the reporters are citing those people. Okay, so I'm going to then rule this particular article out. Okay, so I'm going to return to my original results list. I still have 8 here. And so I go down and I find this article, Evolution of In Loco Parentis Plus. And this sort of leads me to believe it might be about parents acting a little crazy. So again, I'm going to click on this particular article. And it says it's available online. And to get it, you have to go down and see the list available to you, full text availability. So I have these 2 databases available. Academic Search Premier is pretty popular, commonly used, so I'm going to click on that. That's a familiar database for me. So right away, I'm provided the article, which is great, which is one reason, again, I like this particular database. And then I see here the PDF is available in full text, so I want to look for that. And before I actually download it, again, I want to look at when it was published. So 2017, it's relatively new, which is great. It was published in this journal titled Changed. I'm not familiar with this journal, so I'm going to proceed a little bit further. I want to read the abstract, which is the summary, a very short summary of the article. Again, it discusses how courts treat educational institutions. So again, it's not necessarily about anxiety, so it's not the conversation that I'm looking for. And again, I can proceed further. When looking at the article, you want to sort of read just the first couple of paragraphs, and then you want to come down to the end and read the last few paragraphs, okay? And so you can also look at the subtitles, the parent and protector. Here's Rosen versus Regents. So again, this is focusing, oh my God, City of Ithaca and Cornell. Huh, that's funny. Might want to read this after all. So definitely this is a legal matter, and I'm more interested in mental health. So once again, I'm going to bypass this article. Now, if in fact this was relevant to my research, I want to click on PDF full text and then proceed to actually download the article. And you would do that by looking for some download arrow there. Some of you, when you find an article, will only be given this option, HTML full text. So select that. In order to get a PDF of it, what you need to do is do Command P or Control P on your keyboard. And then you will be given the print box. You'll want to look for the PDF option on Google Chrome or on Safari. On Safari, I believe it's on the bottom left-hand corner. And then you want to save it in order to download it. Okay, so I return to my results list, and the 2 possible articles that could have been a good fit did not work out. I Again, could play with the terms and change this to lawnmower parents. And now I have 782 results. And again, I have to go through the same process. Click peer review, focus on articles, down to 28, narrow it down to the last 10 years. And now I have 18, and now I can quickly go through these. At the top of my list, I find this article, Adolescents Growing Up in a Greenhouse, which is basically an environment that protects kids, right? Like a type of greenhouse. It says a literature review. Anytime I see the word literature review, I'm jumping up for joy because that means somebody has basically provided an overview of everything on this topic. So I basically can get all my answers in this one article. And so it's a great start. Now, one thing that you must not do, which will get you into lots of trouble later on when you are having to write up your summaries for these articles, is you do not want to just save the link or bookmark it. The library does break these links, and so if you just copied and pasted the link, in a week or two, you'll click on that link and you'll get a blank page, basically. It will have nothing but the generic homepage of the library website. So you must download PDF. Every year, I have one student who doesn't pay attention to this warning and has to start all over. So don't be that one student this year. Now that you know how to use our library website, locate one source using the tips that I've shared here. Find one source. Make sure you double check the year of publication, the publication source, the abstract, and the first and final paragraphs of the article. If it's a good fit and checks off all those boxes and seems to answer your research question or one of them, download it and upload it to your Google Drive folder titled Project 3.0 Annotated Bibliography. There, you'll find a folder with your name on it. Upload the PDF to that folder.